Hello, welcome to Unit 13. This is government class, and we're on part 4 of political parties. Right. So, looking today at party activities. Right. Uh, the U.S. has had a two-party system for over 200 years. We've never had anything else. Uh, it just slowly develops. Part of it is, of course, George Washington didn't want parties, and the parties end up forming around leaders. Right. Alexander Hamilton and the Federalists form first and slowly develop into a party, and then Jefferson will lead the opposition, the old anti-Federalists, and they become the Democratic Republicans. Right? The main activity of the parties, as we've developed from those two parties I just mentioned into today's Democratic versus Republican, the main activity of parties is to run candidates for office. That's the biggest reason they exist. Right? So in order to run candidates for office, you need money. I mean, today it's all about the advertising. And so parties do a lot of things to raise money so they can buy commercials on TV, so that they can buy airtime on radio stations, so that they can mail you things. They have callers out there that call and try to get you to vote, and they take polls, and that all takes money. Right? In order to get that money, they have a variety of methods. They then send it off to the candidates, and they're allowed to do that because that's what they're doing. They're the ones running the candidate. Today, they use these following methods, right? Of course, I mentioned that they mail you things, all right? They will mail you information about the candidate saying, hey, vote for this one. They will also mail and ask for donations. Right? I mentioned this one. They will call you. They will make phone calls, right? They have voter lists. They have all types of information out there that they can get your number, and sometimes they just do it randomly. Right? They're just looking to get a hold of you, to get you to donate, to get you to support their candidate, to vote for them, see if you need a ride to the polls. Right? Starting in the 90s, they started using email. Everybody has an email address. We need it for all types of things, so they email you this information as well. Since the 90s, they have set up internet sites, so you can, when you're looking at a candidate or for a candidate, you can always find their official website. You'll find the websites of the two parties and all the third parties as well, and so there's lots of information out there, and you can donate through those sites. They do online advertising. You're scrolling through Facebook or whatever it's called now, Meta. You're scrolling through your your Twitter, now known as the X, or any of those other ones, and all of a sudden there's an ad. Social media, of course, they have their own Twitter accounts, they have their own Facebook, they have their own websites, media accounts, all types of things. And they always have a get out the vote drive. Right? Parties will take polls trying to keep track of candidates, all right, how they're doing in certain areas, how they're doing in this area versus this area. Has it changed much? What changed? Right? And as they do that, they form their strategy for the election. Where does the where does the candidate for president need to go? Where does the candidate for senate need to go? All right, to help boost his chances. And I've mentioned this already. Again, a lot of this is redundant, but they're going to produce radio and TV commercials. It's always fun during a presidential year. You can always hear all these different commercials, why you should vote for this one and not that one. Mostly not that one. They then train their volunteers. They have volunteers working for the different candidates, all right, mailing things out, making those phone calls, all right. They also have paid operatives. Some of those people are paid. That's their job, especially the people at the top that are running the campaign. You always have a campaign manager, and that's a paid person. And then finally, this all leads to that final push, that get out the vote drive, to get members of their party and undecided people to go out and vote for their candidate. Right? Those are the two groups. You want to make sure that your core group votes for you, but then there's that large group in the middle, the swing vote, that you're trying to get them to vote for your candidate and not the other one. Party platform. The platform is what you are what you are promising to do. All right, what you like in the government, what you want to change. Right, here the definition, the official position of a party or candidate on issues. Right? And the parties have always come up with platforms going back well over 100 years. This is what we're going to do if we're elected, and the other parties, this is what we'll do if we're elected, and things like that. All right? Interestingly enough, the party that wins normally implements about 2/3 of their platform. Right? That's a pretty high percentage. Right? And a lot of it, when you look at it, it's like, okay, did you know that this was in the platform? Did you know that they did it? Things like that. One of the more interesting ones was back in the 1990s, 1994 midterm elections. The Republican Party, led by Newt Gingrich, it's not a presidential year, midterm election, meaning in between the presidential elections. The Republicans, led by Newt Gingrich, published a book called Contract with America. And their idea was they put everything that they would do if they were in control of Congress into a book and said, okay, this is our contract with you. If you elect us to a majority, this is what we're going to do or try to do.